breakfast on the rails for staff of local companies.
The breakfast tram made its first trip along High Street at 7:15 this morning to pick up 22 passengers at the Central Deborah mine for the inaugural service. The breakfasters have all won competitions on radio station 3BO. Part of the prize was a ticket for this morning's ride. The breakfast tram is a new innovation of the Bendigo Tramways.
Encouraging people to take this offer up before Christmas as a pre-Christmas breakfast for their staff and officers and so on, and certainly enjoy this type of breakfast.
Today's run used one of the historic Bernie cars, decked out as the McDonald's McFun Tram, appropriate as McDonald's is sponsoring the new service.
Paul, this is an alternate way of celebrating Christmas or the office breakups at the end of the year. We are featuring the tram early in the morning, which can travel through Bendigo and also have fun with breakfast on the tram.
Despite the early start, today's passengers appeared to enjoy themselves, tucking into orange juice, bacon and egg McMuffins and hash browns. However, the rocking tram did make coffee drinking a little difficult. The breakfast tram trips are being organised through McDonald's and will be available as required between now and Christmas.
The 19 Californian combination car started the first part of a journey that will include a parade in Melbourne on Sunday with hundreds of other veteran and vintage vehicles. 2 cranes were needed to lift the 12-tonne car onto a low-loading trailer. But Tramways employees are becoming accustomed to the process. Number 17 was trucked off to Melbourne last week and will be joining number 19 in the parade. Both trams will fly the flag for Bendigo when they take Tramways employees on a tour through Melbourne streets on Monday. For number 19, the excursion will be a trip down memory lane. The tram worked in Melbourne from the time it was built until 1935, when it came to Bendigo. Tramways employees dressed in uniform and period costume will travel on number 19 during Sunday's cavalcade, while the Bendigo Brass Band performs a selection of bush tunes
today,
on number
the 20th anniversary of the closure of the tramways for public transport. The event was marked with a special ceremony which involved many of the original tramways workers. Today's trek by these trams was a reenactment of the closing ceremonies which took place in Bendigo 20 years ago. The Toast Rack tram and the last tram to travel from Eaglehawk once again wound their way down the tracks to the strains of the Bendigo City Brass Band. 20 years ago, the band played the tune "Now is the Hour We Must Say Goodbye" during the closing ceremony. The Electric Supply Company of Victoria ran the tramways before the SEC took over in the mid-1930s. Basil Miller, an inspector, conductor and driver with the tramways for 43 years, remembers his work in those days was like being part of a family.
You knew when the businessmen were coming and when the businessmen were going home, and you'd have all the ladies coming and going, and then you had your theatre traffic at night, which were all a part and parcel of the Bendigo and its life generally.
In keeping with tradition, the trams were today piped along Tramways Avenue to the depot by Neil Innes. Neil played the same tune 20 years ago when he saw the trams home for the last time. Once the trams were safely home, Bendigo Trust President Daryl McClure set the scene of the bygone era of public transport in Bendigo. For old trammies like Basil Miller, today's celebration brought back memories of special days.
Mother's Day was a special day of the year where you'd have special 5-minute service to the cemeteries, and the cemeteries would be a glitter of the flowers the day after. That back in those days, but not so much today.
Tram enthusiasts have since ensured the trams will remain a significant part of Bendigo's heritage. This walkers bus may also be an historical item soon. It's the bus which first took over from the trams 20 years ago, and Walkers is considering making it available